Okay. Then we can begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fragments of Silicon is not responsible for any strong or unusual opinions you may find developing.
Right.
Ugh.
Welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. Uh, I'm your host Adam. Joining me as always, the regular crew, and Mac is with us this week.
Yes, I just got hit in the face by my cat, hence the noise.
Good job, Kitty.
I mean, Mac's kind of week to week right now because of massive obligations. So,
Right, right. No, Doodles, don't snip the microphone.
uh,
I must become one with the show.
She's trying. Don't touch my drink with your butt. God, get out. Go. Be gone.
okay, before this turns into stupid peck tricks, let's
Too
move
late.
on. Yeah, let's move on to the news. Well, Mac, since you are dealing with stuff, let's start with you first.
Okay, well, whew. Besides arguing with people about the false moral equivalency of comparing Antifa to Nazis, lots and lots of stuff going on. Is it this Friday or next Friday?
Right now, it's this Wednesday.
I'm hinting at something that hasn't been formally announced yet, but thanks for the dingbat answer.
I mean, you know the type of company you're in, Mac.
Well, the thing of it is, it's maybe no Friday because people have not responded to the inquest.
All right. Well, the formal announcement is that Moonhawk Studios Presents is coming back as Redux, as we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. The entire archive post-season, pre-season 9 has been eradicated from the face of the earth.
Actually, I found season 1 and some of season 2.
I have that as well. That is not lost.
All right.
And it may as well be lost.
Well, I mean, I at least was able to save the original episode 1. So
Yeah, but I
there's
have
there's
that.
that.
I've had that for like 8 years on my hard drive.
Fair enough.
And I have some of season 6 and some of season 7 and some of season
When I
8.
get a chance, I'll throw what I have up in Google Drive and we can sort through.
Okay. So anyway, the majority of the show has been wiped from the face of the earth, including some of our most historic times, specifically most, if not all, of season 3, 2/3 of season 2, and everything after that that was on TalkShoe up through season 9.
Yeah.
So seasons 10, 11, beginning of 12, and what I have on YouTube are pretty much all that exists right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fucking shame. We had some stuff. We had some literal Library of Congress level stuff in those earlier shows, and I probably should have done a better job trying to preserve it. So if there's anyone out there who was a subscriber to iTunes, you may have our show archived permanently on your hard drive because it doesn't expire and it doesn't go away unless you delete it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Provided you actually downloaded the program. Like,
Yeah.
if it's synced to iTunes, well, yeah, the stuff that showed up on iTunes wasn't actually in iTunes. It was, turns out that was mother directed from TalkShoe itself.
Yeah.
Right. But if you subscribe to it on a desktop computer and listen to it in iTunes, it actually physically downloaded the podcast as a not a TS series MP3 like they store on TalkShoe, but as an actual physical named after the episode MP3 file that you can copy to someone else and they can listen to it without logging in using your account.
There is a chance I might have some episodes on my old laptop, but it doesn't want to boot, so I need a new way to get the hard drive out and access that.
External hard drive to USB adapters are available on Amazon for $9.95.
Yeah, I just need to get one, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so that's a thing. So we're trying to reconstruct that. I would love to have season 3 back so we can have the late Larry Latham live again.
Was that season 3 or was that?
Yep, it sure was. It was November of 2010.
Yeah, and that's right when everything cut off in the archive. Like, that's
no, that
just the whole from what I was looking at.
Yeah, for some reason, like, even when we were trying to look for episode titles and stuff like that on the archive.org, gave the illusion that you could download stuff, but there wasn't actually anything there.
Yeah, they were just blank text placeholders.
But the pages 9 through 12 were missing, and that was that. That was like everything from episode 7 of season 2 on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a whole lot of bad. And here's the other problem. Of course, we've lost 98% of the first 4 seasons of Fragments of Silicon, if I'm not mistaken.
No, a lot less than that. We've only lost the first year, basically. Like the first episode is season 3, episode 5. So lot less in the way of lost episodes there.
Still some important stuff because, of course, Fragments was hardly a brand new show when it came out. It had been going for 5 seasons on MSP before it went off on its own.
Right. I'm just saying, of the standalone stuff, it lost a lot less, if only because there was a lot less there. So, but yeah.
Okay, looking at my hard drive, I have seasons 9, 8, 7, and 6, and 1.
Okay, well that's a huge step in the right direction then, because that'll still recover quite a bit of historical stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yay, I was useful for once. I don't get the stockade this week.
As I was telling Adam privately the other day, when I was having my little atomic meltdown,
right.
Season 6, 7, and 8 had pretty significant historical impact as well because of the caliber of the people we were starting to get.
Yeah.
I mean, the early interviews, even though we had some important people on them, were a little clumsy.
Well, it's also like season 1 was very webcomic focused, since the show initially started out, focused on webcomics because that's what Mac did.
Right. Then we started branching out in season 2.
Right. And on we branched out. So.
So that's a good thing right there. Now, but if we can get seasons 3, 4, and 5 back, that would also be grand. You can lose the season 5 finale though.
Yeah, that can just go die in a fire, please.
Or anything with the names Ed and Tommy in them. God, I can't believe that AGDQ and a few others are actually doing Super Meat Boy runs to this day. I mean, do they have any other tricks in their basket?
I think it's a popular speed game. I don't think they really care about the politics behind the individuals.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. No. I didn't. That's not.
Super Metroid constantly.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. That's not what I was talking about. I'm talking about, do Ed and Tommy have anything else in their repertoire, or are they just going to back to that well over and over?
Edmund does the
Yeah.
Binding Isaac. In fact, he just launched a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo, one of those things, for a card game, and massively overfunded. So.
Of course.
Unfortunately, you can't AGDQ the Binding of Isaac.
I mean,
Okay, I'll rephrase that. Unfortunately, if you tried to AGDQ The Binding of Isaac, you'd either be doing a lot of runs or you'd have very little control over what actually happens.
Yeah. I mean, procedurally generated stuff will do that.
I think actually the newest version has an option to put in seeds.
Anyway, in regards to MSP, it's probably going to be a while before we actually launch the show because we've got to find guests, and Mac's schedule's kind of unstable right now.
Yeah. Ideally, though, it'll be back on Fridays with a strict half-hour format. We will be using Talk Shoe because I want it because it's already set to auto aggregate to iTunes for my listeners on the hell is that? Something Radio FM or whatever the app is on Samsung and the iTunes app. There is they separated podcasts from iTunes. It's now a podcast app on all Apple devices. So if you subscribe to it on iTunes, you automatically get it on the podcast app.
Right. Also, in good news, TalkShoe now does cloud storage.
Yeah.
So all of the stuff that's actually still on TalkShoe, that's that's safer than it was beforehand. If only because if it whatever happened last year, happened because they did not have cloud storage. So
well, and apparently they didn't have backups either, which is really dumbfounding.
right.
That a service so large that at one point had so many famous people on it, you'd think that they would have taken their own security a little more seriously. But I suspect they were a much smaller company than anybody gave them credit for.
Yeah. Mind you, we're hardly the only ones who have lost media over this.
I've seen some Twitter posts. People are not happy.
I talked to Vertigo X right after it happened, and his exact response was "Oh frack," which is a big deal for a Canadian to swear like that.
Well, and it's like part of the thing is the iTunes linking. I'm sure everybody here thought it was saved to iTunes.
Right.
Yeah,
And then, oh, by the way, they're just links.
None of the aggregation services. I checked Podcast Alley, Podcast Addicts. I checked a bunch of different services. All of them had listings and no actual files. And I'm like, what is the point of aggregating if you can't protect your data?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're just going to pull it from this service that is kind of shoddy and generally unstable. Now, we hope, our fervent hope, of course, is that what TalkShoe has learned from this, since they obviously are intending to go forward, what they have learned from this is that they need to take their own shit more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to be the case because, well, they've been promoting their overhaul on Twitter nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
And
some of the comments.
The various they've added various features like you can syndicate to YouTube, like we can do with the Twitch show here.
Right, which is what we're going to try to do with MSP. We're going to try to simulcast on TalkShoe. I personally will be using the TalkShoe interface because I know we still have fans there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I have people constantly banging on me on Facebook saying, when are you going to bring the show back? Why can't you put it on TalkShoe? I don't understand. I want to listen to the show on my phone. I can't do it on YouTube because it won't do audio only. And I can't, like, people are doing it, are listening to our show while they're at work. Specifically, my friend Brett. Hi, Brett. He listens to it on his phone while he's on the job site. He cannot have his screen on or his phone goes dead. If he runs YouTube, the screen is on, and he can butt dial all day long, every time he moves. So the only way to do it is audio only with the lock screen turned off.
Right.
So, and of course, iTunes and Radio FM and all of those different podcast streaming services offered via app through phones and tablets and so on and so forth do it that way. So TalkShoe is still the only vertically integrated, deliberate, dedicated podcasting service on the internet.
Well, I mean,
are other
there are
podca-
others, but you have to pay for those.
Not really, and they don't offer the same level of features. Even the crappy features that TalkShoe offered were not offered elsewhere. Adam and I have had this discussion many times, and that's the whole reason we stayed there as long as we did, was because there literally was no better viable option.
Yeah, TalkShoe was the worst option, except for all of the other options.
Pretty much, yeah. I tried getting a free trial of I think it was Podcast Addicts or whatever, and they were fucking terrible. You couldn't do live recording with commentary from your fans. You basically recorded the podcast and then uploaded it, and that's pretty much the universal thing for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And as I understand it, the new TalkShoe has better integration with Skype as well.
The entire reason why you left it, you could hear nothing from Skype.
Well, and I think the reason that happened was because the service was physically broken, and they either didn't realize it or didn't care, or they were so self-involved with their massive overhaul that they didn't have literally any resources dedicated to support.
Possible, we may never know the reasons for why that happened, and it matters little now. So.
Yeah.
Well, I will comment that their behavior throughout this entire scenario has been quite shady. You know, oh, we had an article about that back in November. Really, where's that article? Oh, we deleted it.
Yeah,
we put another one out in May. Okay, where's that article? Oh, well, we deleted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put out stuff and you deleted it. How does that help? Like, you know.
We've had the notice posted at Alpha Centauri for 3 years. You've had nobody to complain to but yourselves about it.
Yes. Ogre wins. Good night, everybody.
Hitchhiker reference for the win.
So, yeah, that's basically what's the initial plans for MSP at this point. You know, probably update, as things roll along here. Like, anything non-MSP related going on?
Well, I put out an animation teaser for so the way Starship Moonhawk is going to go from now on, and I'm not talking about the webcomic, I'm talking about the animated series, is we're going to release scenes and segments as they become available as a teaser to this. So basically we're in the process of constructing Act 2 Scene 1, aka the episode choices. And I put out an FX and music demo that has the title card and credits. And it has, in 2 days, it has been viewed over 200 times on Facebook, and about 30 or 40 times on YouTube. My YouTube channel, I don't know. People just like, Mac has a YouTube channel. That seems to be the general reaction. But we have had quite a response to it, considering Facebook's new algorithm and me having to discourage members of the cast from quoting the alt-right.
That's for the post show, though.
But other than that, it's been going along swimmingly. So I'm pretty excited about that. The general idea, I'm cutting up the comic right now because we're still using the comic artwork, but we're doing some slightly more sophisticated techniques to try to add more animations to it. The teaser act was actually quite a bit better than our first episode. I'll say that, to put it mildly. And Keith has gotten considerably more proficient with special effects in Adobe After Effects. So we put together one of the 3 main drive systems of the Moonhawk, the special effects for it, and that is the hyperdrive tunnel, which there's 3 modes of travel for the ship. You have the dimensional doorway, which is an instantaneous wormhole to other places, but that has limited capabilities because they have to find jump points. Then you have the the subluminal drive is my name for impulse drive,
Mhm.
and which is their, normal leisurely cruising around the solar system mode of travel. And then you have the superluminal drive, which is equivalent to the Star Wars hyperdrive. And that's the effect.
But really, if different parts of the ship don't detach from each other and spin in opposite directions, what does it really matter?
Well, it's kind of interesting because what we did was we reversed the effect. Basically, as I explained it to Keith, was that the ship actually corkscrews through the tunnel. And Keith said, "Well, what if I just rotate the tunnel? We get effectively the same thing, and it's not as visually complicated." And I'm like, "Hey, that's a great idea." But when the ship goes to hyperdrive, it actually spins. Like beams come out of these two turrets on the front of the ship, and it carves a hole and it jumps to hyperspace. So it's kind of a neat visual effect that differentiates it from other series that have warp drive or hyperdrive.
Okay.
So we put out that as an FX demo, and the response has been pretty overwhelming. I'm very pleased with how fast people have been going and looking at it, whereas the trailer for Space Destroyer Hunter took a little more than a week to get to about the same number of views. So I would say we're definitely striding in the right direction. Beyond that, the Lavenders is back. Has been for 5 weeks now. I just posted the latest update on it a day late because I'm an asshole. Starship Moonhawk the comic will be coming back soon because we'll of course need to keep that moving forward so that way we don't run out of material for the animated series. Other than that, that's it. Sorry that took so long, but there was a lot.
Indeed. Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing. You have a lot on your plate right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. Ogre, why don't you go? Because, well, you may need to go at any given moment.
Well, I've been sick for the past week. I don't know whatever I caught, but it hasn't been fun. It's been mostly stomach pains and bathroom problems, so taking some Pepto. I think I'm getting better. I unfortunately had to cancel a apheresis appointment for tomorrow because I'm sick and they can't take blood from a sick person, so...
Right.
Well, platelets, but...
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, it seems to be working so far. Might have just been Cyanide 8 that just stuck around too long.
Oh, I've done that before.
Yeah, that happened a few days ago.
No. Whatever. It seems to be passing, so...
Yeah.
That's mostly good. Let's see. Our first video of Dungeon Explorer went up the other day. This is something Naka's been wanting to do for a while. And I figured since Barry's a very D&D person and feels like kind of feels like I'd take a little too much of the co-op stuff, but then of course Naka has his own single player stuff to do, but every once in a while it's nice when he suggests something and then we can have fun with that. It's been pretty fun so far. It's a lot longer than I expected. But
Naka was the weird kid who grew up with a TG-16.
Naka's the weird kid who had a lot more systems than he should have had, is the thing. Yeah. Like, he wasn't like my family got a Nintendo and a Sega kind of kid, but he was definitely that, my family got a Nintendo and this system you never heard of.
Yeah. He mentions TurboGrafx 16s and the kids in the playground are like, what the hell is that?
I never even heard of it until I met him, so that should say something.
I actually remember some of the TG-16 ads. That's, how I knew it. I never played the damn thing, but...
Did video games just seem to advertise more in magazines than on TV?
I saw TV ads. Like,
Because
remember?
well, I'm referring more to like a lot of games because I don't even remember ever seeing a Mega Man commercial, and I kind of figured those were pretty popular enough to warrant a couple commercials here and there.
Well,
But it always seemed to be advents and magazines and whatnot.
yeah, the answer is I think yes, because like yeah, Mega Man became popular because of Nintendo Power.
Yeah, I remember some Mega Man commercials back in like the 2000s when
Well, I'm talking,
Battle Network was
talking
a
about
thing.
the NES era, dude. Like,
Yeah, I know.
like, yeah, Mega Man started getting commercials once he started being an established thing. We'll talk more about this in the actual topics, but
Let's see. Probably something I picked up when I went out the other day. All those little bastards off at school getting all the adults sick. But let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else smart to say before I try to make a bismuth joke because of Pepto-Bismol. Yeah, I think that's about it on personal notes there.
all right.
But hey, did you guys know there was a Mega Man X Legacy collection released last week? How come nobody ever told me about that? Fnar. Anyway.
Anyway, Petty, why don't you go? You have cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So we finally should be able to use the pool now, which that's going to be fun. Like, we were going to use it today, but the pool company that we got the some of the chemicals from accidentally told me to put in too much of the pH reducer. So the pool is kind of acidic right now. So I added some more water to hopefully adjust that. Cuz burning your eyes isn't very fun.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, that's going to be enjoyable. As far as personal stuff, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I actually finally got a date for the hearing on getting disability, so that's going to be fun. It is October 4th.
Is it SSI or is it SSI?
SSI. So yeah, that's a thing. Let's see what else. Oh right. I guess the only real thing in gaming news is I believe today Behemoth dropped in Monster Hunter. So I might see if I can give that a shot. Though it's geared for 4 players, so probably not till I get PS Plus, so And then I think I'm good aside from that. So I guess next victim.
Twilight.
Well, we were offered more corn.
Gentlemen, more.
Somebody was gonna make that joke. I'm just glad it wasn't me.
But I don't think we
know where I am anymore.
responded yet. Like, yeah, there's a possibility of us getting more corn, but I don't think we're going to accept it though.
Deep fry it. It's good.
What, just deep fried on the cob?
Yes.
Corn on the cob. Sorry, I was doing my Bubba bit there.
Yeah. But no, Golux, literally, you take the husk off the corn and you throw it in the deep fryer.
Yeah, it's pretty delicious.
See,
Yeah.
Twilight knows.
You're actually supposed to leave it. You're actually supposed to leave the husk attached to the stalk, so that way you have a handle to pull it out of the fryer with.
That's why we have tongs.
Fucking northerner. We got ourselves a Yankee boy up in here. Tongs. Oh my God. I suppose you also call hot dogs barbecue.
Oh, fuck no. I call them food, and then I eat them.
I'm sorry, Twilight. That was just too much fun.
It's okay. Anyway, besides the whole corn thing, someone dropped off another cat on us. I think it might actually be Boots's one of Boots' siblings. I think, but they looked really similar.
Oh yeah, I have that issue with Luna and Noise. There's a very high probability from where they found Noise. She could be like Luna could be like her great aunt or something like that because I had Luna fixed. But between the mannerisms and stuff, there's a very high probability Luna and Noise are actually related.
Yeah. Well, this cat and Boots were kind of similar in height, so that's why I'm assuming they might be siblings. No, we decided we couldn't keep her though, but we managed to find her a home with somebody else, thankfully.
Yay!
Yeah, a neighbor down the road was willing to take her. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, we had our sink was having a water leak due to cheap Walmart crap.
No specific part, just all of its cheap Walmart crap.
I mean, really though.
Yeah, the
I
brand
don't know,
was
man.
called. Yeah, sometimes they have good stuff.
I was gonna say,
Every
I
now
mean,
and then.
sometimes you just don't have Ace Hardware.
Oh, we've got Ace Hardware, but for some reason, my mother decided to go to Walmart for some reason. I guess because Ace Hardware is higher. I guess.
I'm just going to inhale deeply and not comment on that.
Anyway, yeah, we've got that fixed though. So what else? I think there was something else, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, get things moving along. Been playing more of the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, all the way to X3 right now, and that's about all I can think of. So, I guess Golex is next.
Yes.
Well, sorry, you were talking about cats, and I was going to open with this, and hopefully it won't take too long. But unfortunately, we had to put our cat to sleep last Friday because she just wasn't getting any better. So,
Oh yeah.
No.
unfortunately, and now my parents are away for their vacation, so I'm all alone for a while. But we haven't talked about. I mean, because they were going away so soon after, we haven't really talked about if we were gonna get another cat sometime. But
When they get back, there will be a full tank of goldfish.
But yeah, she was a very affectionate cat, so it's easy to miss. So anyway, I haven't been doing a whole lot of video game playing because I've been trying to take care of the house and stuff. But I made did a little bit of playing a Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition and a little bit on Splatoon. I'm gonna see what the new what's the word?
Splatfest?
Salmon Run reward is for this month.
Have they unlocked that, or is it still random?
Huh?
Have they unlocked Salmon Run, or is that still random?
It's not random. They did increase the amount of time it is. It's about like 18 hours on, 12 hours off. It's fun to play multiplayer and cooperatively, and the rewards are actually pretty good. So I actually play Salmon Run more than I play the normal mode. And yeah, I played a little bit more of the Sonic Mania Plus because it's one of the things we're going to be talking about today.
Oh man, it's a Sonic.
Um, yeah, other than that, it's been pretty quiet. So I will pass to Adam.
All right. Let's see. Well, I suppose the big news is it's my birthday tomorrow.
Oh
Oh
man,
man.
Like, it, I'm at the age where it matters very little. Like, honestly, it matters more to family members than it does to me. Yeah. But yeah. Um, let's see. Also at the age where you get more practical stuff. Like, I'm getting shoes for
Hey,
birthday.
new shoes can always be handy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, more
Mhm.
practical.
Especially when you go down to the damn store and the shoes are like $70 minimum.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Hey,
the-
these
this-
are nice hiking boots. 120. What the hell?
And the worst part is the expensive ones usually are worth it because they last a lot longer and feel a lot better. But it still stings when you're actually doing it.
Yeah, I got outlet store Skechers on sale that are one size too small that I modified.
The fact that you said modified scares me.
Yeah, that sounds painful.
Just all you have to do is cut 1/8 of an inch off of the lip in the back. Cut it 1/8 of an inch down, and you get a full size increase.
Well, that's a thing.
They're also fabric shoes, so they stretch.
Yeah,
Ah.
that's true.
Remarkably comfortable. I'm wearing them right now.
Yeah. And my brother is getting me a couch cover because
Yeah, those are nice. Naka and Barry got one for their couch.
well, the
I should
upholstery
probably
on
get-
this thing is starting to tear in certain places. Not enough to get rid of the thing, but enough where it's maybe time to cover it up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, you don't have cats whizzing on your couch, so couch cover would probably be smart for me.
Well, I mean, I have a cat here. It's just,
He doesn't
I have-
whiz on stuff.
yeah, I have a very good cat who knows not to claw or, um, you know, do business on the furniture. So,
I got about 8 of those little door hanger scratchers and replaced the end post of all of my seating arrangements with scratching posts.
like,
I'm like, if you're gonna scratch here's the thing you can scratch on.
indeed. And let's see. Heading to my favorite pizzeria for birthday because their pizza is delicious. And yeah, that's about it in terms of news. So merrily we shall roll along to, well, not the interview portion, since this is one of those weeks where we had the guest having to cancel because of personal reasons. Thankfully good ones. But that's been rescheduled to late September, with the first show open. So in its place, we're going to be talking about some recent releases. First up, the Mega Man X Legacy Collection. Ogre, Twilight, over to you since you two this one.
So, who wants to go first?
You can go first. Probably got
All
further
right.
ahead than I am.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I haven't actually picked this one up yet, so I can't really talk too much about it aside from Mega Man X in general.
I would probably avoid the Steam version, the PC version for a while, because I hear there's kind of meh.
It hasn't.
With it.
Yeah.
It's-
I'd probably
but
be
s-
getting it on Switch because Switch is portable.
That's what
Mm.
I got it on.
Yeah.
Anyway, Twilight.
I was gonna get it for a PS4, but I got it for Steam instead. Steam version hasn't been too bad. It adds some quirks here and there, but anyway, so yeah, the Mega Man X Legacy Collection is pretty much a collection of all 8 of the Mega Man X series games, and
It does not include Extreme 1 and 2 for the Game Boy, though those are available on the
Yeah.
3DS store. And it
I guess
does
it's-
not include Command Mission.
yeah, it doesn't include
Command? Command.
mission.
Command.
But yeah,
Sorry, I've been
all
watching
eight-
speed gaming.
But yeah, all 8 of the mainline series of Mega Man X games.
It seems to me a little bit weird that 4 is on the same thing as 1 through 3. Since 4 is otherwise far more... It uses basically the same game engine as 5 and 6.
It is a little odd, but I guess you could.
I think it's mostly just to keep everything even. Like the
Yeah.
Mega Man Legacy Collection was just 1 through 6, just to have the
Right.
NES stuff, and then the second one was just the rest of them because they
Right.
just had to fit those all in.
And if they'd split
I'm
the X
surprised
collection,
Mega Man and Base never made it to that one, but that's an argument for another day.
especially since it's
Yeah.
actually apparently okay on the Super Nintendo. But yeah, if well, I guess the problem is if they'd made the X collection into 3 and done like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8 in Command Mission, no one would buy 3.
I feel people still underestimate 8 from what it is.
No,
Mhm.
I'm not even saying that Mega Man 8 is that bad.
But yeah,
I've
I
never
can
played it. I've seen Let's Plays of it. The thing is that it's not it combined with 7 and weird RPG entry in the series are probably not enough to get people to buy it.
Yeah. It's weird enough that it's split into 2 collections. There's Mega Man X
Yeah.
Legacy 1 and Legacy 2 collection. But that's probably more just for the fact that you can kind of see it as a, hey, here's this one collection with like 4 great games. And then here's this one collection with 2 great games. And then,
Yeah, as I was ready to say, is that one side's got the good one, the other's got the meh and oh god ones.
yeah, like Legacy 2 is like
What am I fighting for?
2 pieces of
No,
good
what am I fighting for is still part of the good collection.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
That's Mega Man X4.
Yeah,
It's like the the Legacy Collection 2 one is like 2 really good pieces of bread and then just 2 like varying degrees of shit in between.
Yeah, 5 is still really solid. 6
Mm.
has
So
several
Six-
really
it's a
baffling
choice
decisions.
between a shit sandwich and a douche.
Wow.
Well, I'm just saying that's the South Park reference we were going for, right?
No. So it's 6 is the weird one mostly because it's like
mhm.
still functional, but there's very much you can tell that it was not. If it had like, it's definitely one of those. If this had a lot longer to be polished,
Mhm.
it would have been a better game. But
It just has so many baffling decisions like, hey, who wants randomly terrible stage variations that might make certain special like certain collectibles unobtainable and you might have to go through it again and you still have these Reploids. You have to save them all on your first through and not have them get eaten by the nightmare virus or they're gone forever.
well, I said
I hope
better.
that
I
wasn't
didn't say it was going to be like. It wasn't going to be everything but terrible.
No, I'm just saying there are so many like really baffling decisions.
Well, you have to keep in
6.
mind the Reploid rescuing thing actually popped up in 5 originally. They just
I
kind
know.
of
Yeah.
expanded upon it in 6.
Right, it was
Mhm.
less terrible in 5.
Well, 5 was just like, they're there, you can save them and get a 1-up and maybe fill up your health bar if you need it, and that's it.
I think in that one
Yeah.
they still did give you support programs.
No,
No, they
that
didn't.
one you have to beat bosses of level 8 or higher to get them.
Oh.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's the you need them to get support programs thing, and also the nightmare virus I think was in 5, but it's way more of a problem in 6.
No, the Nightmare virus
No.
is in 6.
Right,
5
Uh.
had the Sigma virus and then the Zero virus.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a big problem in 6 that they are everywhere and take way too
And-
damn many shots to kill, and
And personally, when it comes to 7, it's definitely one of those you're gonna have to play it to understand yourself.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten there yet, but this
I
is definitely one
played
of
it.
those like, yeah, you're just gonna have to play it, buddy. I can't.
let's just
help
say
you.
there's a reason
Yeah.
that in 8 they, even though they kept the 3D models, they went back to entirely 2D gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. A better way to put it is, look, let's face it, the only reason this isn't the Sonic 06 gets as much shit is because that came out later and Mega Man X7 didn't stay as long in the
Mm-hmm.
mind of everyone else. This is definitely one of those 3D polygon ceiling problems here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just... I've played X7 myself. I own the original copy of it, and it's just... I can't really describe it. It's just...
They did a really bad. Okay, aside from making the title character not playable until either most of the way through the game or until you've collected most of the collectibles.
It's either 64. You have to rescue 64 Reploids or beat all 8 Mavericks.
So
Yeah.
halfway through the game at least.
Yeah.
Or halfway through the
basically.
initial 4 stages at least.
There's a reason. There's a reason Axel gets a lot of shit in the Scrappy Doo kind of way.
And he's not even that good to play. I mean, Rapid Fire is theoretically okay, but the powers he gets aren't actually that good in that one, and they didn't, like, they improved it in X8 to, like, he actually gets more interesting stuff to do.
Axel's considered a watered-down version of X.
That's pretty much what he is.
He actually gets different
And
weapons.
8, he's more like base.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He
So
was
it
improved
keeps
in 8.
He keeps that kind of dynamic where it's like, there's a Mega Man, Proto Man, and base character here. Though Proto Man doesn't use close combat stuff, but
Odd, because he has a giant shield.
He does in Exe.
he does block it, so.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's. I would say.
The green boxes.
I would say you definitely should get the first collection, and then kind of judge for yourself on the second collection. If I'm being really generous, I would say get both, just because they are worth it, even if 6 and 7 are on the second game. But if you're really kind of just like, I kind of want 1 to see where I go, definitely get the first one, because 1 through 4, like, I mean, 3 you can kind of go like, about, but like 1, 2, and 4, you're in for a solid game no matter what.
Indeed.
I have a question. Two questions actually. A, what are the price points for the 2 different things? And 2 is, I think,
$20 each.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
20 per or 40 for the whole bundle.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second thing is, I thought I heard something about there not being a physical version of Collection 2, but there is one of Collection 1.
They did that for the Switch. It's like you get a physical copy of the first one. They did this for the Legacy Collection for Mega Man as well. And then they give you a code so you can go down and download the second one from the eShop.
Ah, okay.
Which hilariously, the code actually lasts until 2,799. I'm not kidding. That's the expiration date, like somewhere off, like 800 years from now.
If we're keeping score, that's significantly in the future from Mega Man X.
We'll be on the Nintendo Mind Needle 25 by that point. But yeah, no, it's for the Switch. It's split, but for the Xbox and PlayStation 4, if I believe you get the physical one, they both come on one disc.
Because Blu-ray.
Yeah. But the Switch, it's just a cart for the first one and download code for the second one.
That makes sense.
And then PCs obviously download for each.
Yeah.
Right.
Except for that one Steam deal where they just send you one. They just send you a disc and you have to wait 6 to 8 days for it. But yeah, I would definitely recommend the first collection if you're only going for one. But if you're going,
the worst game on the first collection is still pretty good and playable.
Yeah, like the third one is way more tougher than it needs to be, because that's when it's like, hey, you remember that guy named Zero? We're gonna push this motherfucker hard now.
And it also is the one that really messes with your choice if you want to do an optimal playthrough, because you have to fight bit and bite at the right times to get them to appear the way you want to or whatever.
Not really. They show up randomly. I think you're
Yeah,
thinking
they're
of two.
Oh no, you're right. It's 2 where you have to get the Reploid Hunter or the
Fun fact:
where they are.
enter a stage you're beaten and then exit it, and then the X hunters just randomly pick new spots,
yeah.
so you don't even have to break your pattern.
Okay. Yeah, I
Now-
thought there was some way around that. The thing is, you just have to do it before you get a certain number, or they just won't all appear.
It's 6 Mavericks, and then they just disappear
Mm-hmm.
because then
Yeah.
they just don't have enough room to shuffle around in, and it's just like, well, you know where I'm going, so later, bitch. Though having
Yeah.
played the first 4 games so far, you can definitely tell since like Mega Man X2 and beyond, that it's like they really fucking pushed Zero a little too hard for my taste.
Well, remember,
Same.
he was originally kind of going to be the main character.
Yeah, I
Then
get
they went
that,
with the one
but
that looks more like Mega Man.
it's just that weirdness of having like Mega Man X, but then above that in bigger marquees is starring Zero.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, like in 4 and 5, X does not really have much plot.
No, not really. In fact, 5 is just basically. I think it's mostly because of the fact that Sigma's plan, quote unquote, kind of changes partway through. Where like the first 3 games, he's just trying to screw with X and make him join his side. And then,
Well,
like,
it's,
Actually, in X2, he
It's-
did hint at Zero being kind of important.
Yeah, I still remember I beat that the other day, and I remember reading that, and he goes like, Zero, you're supposed to be on my side, and he goes like, I may be, but I don't like you, and I was like, that's the 90th fucking thing I've ever heard. It's just him going like, I may have to be on your side, but I don't like you.
like I don't know that also sounds like the mid 2000s to me.
Yeah.
It just
In a
it
way,
sounds
yeah.
teenagery to me the way it comes off.
Mm-hmm.
Just that
Yeah.
whole like, I may have to be on your side, but I don't like you, so I'm not.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of Batman Begins now. Though the thing with Zero is, Inafune basically set up, the X-Zero confrontation in X2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that released like a big wet fart in 5. I don't know how he thought that was supposed to be the big moment unless he was just trying to set it up for the Zero series.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Well, he started developing the Zero series right after 5, so
Yeah,
Mhm.
And then 6 came out, and
And that
Well-
messed everything up.
yep.
well,
and then
no,
like
it's
in
actually-
0-3 they had to like retcon things slightly to.
I have to say the only positive thing I can say for X6 is the very fact that X6 is the only reason that Copy X exists. And I
Mhm.
can, I
The
can
blade
go like,
armor is
hey,
also neat.
you know what? That actually makes some fucking sense. That maybe X wouldn't go Maverick. That he would actually start recognizing he's starting to go Maverick and go like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out."
Yeah, the fact that X was actually supposed to be the main villain of the Zero series, just that makes no sense.
It's very baffling, especially considering the fact that he's like, you know,
Inafune just really, really wanted to do that for whatever reason.
it
Like,
especially
know.
feels like piss poor planning, considering this is Dr. Light's final legacy.
Yeah.
Here. And it's just
He
like,
puts
really,
him-
you're gonna piss on one of your original creations here by going like, nah, your biggest creation is just gonna turn out to be an evil Maverick that's just gonna like start dominating everyone and just counting everyone as Mavericks and shooting them all. But my guy's gonna come in and like, you're writing fan fiction at this point.
Indeed, and the very reason X was in that capsule in the first place was to test whether or not he'd go rogue. on
Yeah, and it
everyone.
might have even worked a little too well.
Well, he's supposed
Yeah.
to be in there for 30 years, but then he was in there for 100, and that's supposed to kind of lend into his fact that he's a lot more hesitant than one should be at that point.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was testing his suffering chip and stuff.
Yeah, to see if he'd
Yeah.
make the right moral choices out of
Mhm.
everything. Which is why a lot of the Mavericks happen in the series, because it turns out when you base a design off of somebody, that requires them to go through 3 years of testing and then go like, nope, they're fine. There
Yeah,
might
it
be
requires-
problems
Yeah.
somewhere along the line.
Requires simulations to make sure that they are capable of having an emotional understanding of stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have done some brushing up on chaos theory.
Well, it wasn't exactly intended to be just released into the wild. It's just Light died, and then Kane found the cap, and he's like, "Hey, this is a really neat robot. I'm gonna make more of them."
Though, granted, I think the bigger problem is I'm pretty sure unless Dr. Kane is considered an omnidisciplinal scientist, he's just an archaeologist.
Yeah, he was just an archaeologist. and-
So I don't unless he's a roboticist of some kind in his background. I don't think he was that good of a roboticist here. So
It seems like the Reploids in the future tend to repair themselves. They're not entirely dependent on their so-called human masters.
well, the Reploids are essentially human robots. Is the thing.
Mhm.
It's like they are humans, but in a robot body kind of thing. In fact, the later series just basically like, we're all human and robot at the same time.
Yeah,
now.
by the time of
Mhm.
ZX, all the original humans have cybernetic implants, and all of the Reploids have organic parts to enhance their mortal experience, and they have like life limits and stuff.
Yeah.
By Mega
Yeah.
Man Legends, humanity is dead.
Yep.
Yes, and the only things that are left are artificial, basically humans.
Yep.
Well, I
The
mean,
carbons.
that's kind of the central point of Legends too.
Hmm.
Yep.
Everybody's dead.
Too
Well,
bad.
it's like-
Too bad. We'll never get Legends 3 to round that out.
It's like
Well,
5,000 years.
I
It's
think
like
it's for
the
the
year
best they
5,000
just
or so
exist.
by Legends. So
Yeah,
Mm.
it's like that's the other thing about the Legacy Collection, the X Legacy Collection, is that the X Legacy Collection ends with a teaser that X's struggle has not yet ended, and they're probably not just talking about the fact the command mission happens
I think that
after.
was the CD
Hmm.
for the soundtrack tease that.
Yeah.
Anyway, as riveting as all this is, we've got to move forward with Sonic Mania Plus.
I would get the XLX collection. Give the Type 1 filter a try. It's not that bad. Just it's weird on portable for Switch for the first 3 games though. Something weird about the bar.
Yeah. I have to agree.
Okay then.
Petty Fan, play us to the next segment. So, Sonic Mania Plus. This is the recently released DLC, and Petty Fan, you're taking the lead here since you're the one who's actually been playing it, and you know.
I can help a little.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure everybody knows about Sonic Mania. Plus, it basically adds Mighty and Ray from
Oh.
the. Oh, somebody.
Sega Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Mighty was in Knuckles Chaotix.
we don't talk
Mighty
about
was
that.
in Knuckles Chaotix, but they're specifically referencing Sega Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mhm.
It was this very, very obscure.
That was an arcade game, wasn't it?
Yes, it was with a trackball for an input.
Oh my god.
Yes, and
And
yes,
this-
I've played it.
I
Like-
appreciate the fact that you both went yes as the response to my oh my god moment. As if you knew that yes, Ogre, we do understand that this was a terrible idea.
I know that somebody I hope was taken to the gallows for that.
Like, well, they were going deep with the well on this.
Yeah, and I think they struck the fucking mantle.
Well, anyway, this is what you get when you make a game or get a game made by people who are really big fans of the franchise. They put in stuff that people who are really big fans of the franchise have wanted to see referenced for a long or put back in for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Or never expected to be referenced. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know, not just a mean bean machine, but, you know, the Plus stuff references the Game Gear versions of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm. and also Chaotix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game references Chaotix. Okay, well, first off, to go back a step, there are actually two parts of this franchise. Two parts of this. It's just a $5 DLC. There are
Mhm.
two parts of it. The first part is that Mighty and Ray are available in the original
Mania
Mania
mode.
mode. The second part is a new Encore mode that has slight remixes, like a varying degree of the original things. It actually is a canonical sequel, but there's some time twisty stuff involved in
Yeah.
there.
Basically, after you hop out of the Phantom Ruby kind of teleport thing at the end of Forces, you wind up on Angel Island, and you lose the Phantom Ruby.
Mm-hmm. You rescue Mighty and Ray from a combi catcher, except one of them was actually Heavy Magician, who you never actually really
Yeah.
finished beating. And then Heavy Magician takes the Phantom Ruby and puts it back in the Heavy King's
King.
hands, and then they sort of send you back to the beginning of the game. Only everything is colored differently and stages are remixed.
Yeah, one of the major things they did was they moved a lot of the special rings, and they changed the special games, like their layouts.
Though the special, the special stage that you for the Chaos Emeralds are completely different and a lot harder.
Oh yeah, I still
The,
haven't gotten a single emerald yet.
Games are replaced with a completely different game that's a slot machine that lets you get different characters and
Referencing Spinball of all things.
Right, yeah. And it's interesting because apparently, actually, if you've completed all of the Blue Sphere games in Mania mode, it replaces the checkpoint game with that same thing too. But yeah, the main thing is there are two new characters. Mighty is invincible to spikes when he's rolled in a ball, and he can do a ground pound. And Ray has a really cute monkey bars animation, and he can fly like Mario in Mario World, only a lot slower.
Yeah, which I'm personally not a fan of that, but I've also never been a big fan of Mario's cape power, so...
Yeah. It's significantly different from the ways that Tails and Knuckles fly, at least. But yeah, the other interesting thing is that in Encore mode, there are no lives. You just have two characters to start with, and there are boxes that unlock a new character, and they get added next to your dude. Like you always have one or two characters active, normally two unless you lose them. When you gain a new character, they become a little letter next to your two guys. And when you take a hit when you're out of rings, that character gets knocked out and the first of your letters becomes active. There are also TVs that switch you to the next one or randomly change who you're playing as. There are continues now for when you lose all of your dudes, but it's an interesting way to change the progress thing. And honestly, I think I look at it kind of as part of the lives are kind of becoming an antiquated concept in games, so...
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did also significantly remix some of the bosses, including...
Yeah, they fixed the issue with Metal Sonic kind of not really knowing what you're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah, I think you don't have to bounce the Silver Sonics into him, and when you do, it takes way less of them to do something.
Well, no, you can hit the Metal Sonics now, and they pop out like energy balls. Or I can die. And yeah, like they've added different filters for like Stardust Speedway looks different here than it did in the original game.
Someone I was watching play it said that it looked like it might be the Bad Future, since that's from Sonic CD.
Yeah. I think it still starts in past and then goes to a better. Well, it's like it looks better, Bad Future, instead of that weird, like I think it was like an orangish tint or something.
I've never actually played CD, so I can't say for certain.
Yeah, I haven't played CD in years, so.
Mighty is a little bit. I think I heard a comment that it was intentional that Mighty is in some ways kind of an easy mode.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, he's invincible to spikes when he's rolled in a ball, and in this game you should be rolled into a ball a lot.
Mm-hmm. Though if you're just jumping on them, the first one spike hit pops you out of, and basically you're doing a standard fall.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be wary about that because that fall can't hurt enemies.
Right. But yeah, I think some people are not super enthused with this, but I think uh, the best thing about it is it's $5 DLC
Yeah.
on like a $20 game.
Yeah, and it's like there are some nitpicks like in Mania mode. If your second, or not Mania mode, in Encore mode, if your second player gets too far behind, instead of like flying in behind you like Tails does in Mania mode, they pop in. They basically jump in front of your character, and
Which is another nod to, there are a lot of nods to Chaotix in this. It's a nod to how the character switching thing in Chaotix worked, but it can obscure your view in ways that you don't want to have happen.
Yeah, and like again, I'm not a big fan of how Ray plays, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about Ray is that his flight is like Knuckles. When he's flying, he has his fists forward, so he damages things that he flies into. Ray is completely vulnerable when he's flying. You have to be careful not to hit anything. That said, if you do him well, you can skip over large segments of some things.
Right. And like, I'm not sure how I feel about the no lives thing, just because some parts they still have a little bit of the collision issues they did when the game launched. Like they have gotten better, but there are still some cheap death points. And like at least if I had lives, I was good enough at the game. I had a bunch of lives on hand. This one I don't know where they hide all of the boxes for the characters.
Well, they're all over the place, but also, again, if you get to a checkpoint with rings and you're any good at spinball, you can get like all of your characters and then a shield, and I think you can also get continues in there, but I could be wrong.
Usually that's where you get them, but yeah, it's like sometimes I can get to the goal post or the checkpoint posts with rings. Sometimes I can't.
Fair enough.
And also, I'm not a big. I think they took out a lot of the rings, the giant rings, because like I haven't.
I'm not sure they moved them, but I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like there are less of them.
I think some of them are just really well hidden now.
And like, it's nice that they made the games a little harder, but on your first time through, the first one shouldn't be so hard. I've taken like 5 attempts at it and still haven't gotten a Chaos Emerald.
Oh no, they made them way harder.
Yeah.
The Emerald's UFO thing is way faster, so you almost definitely have to get up to Mach 3 and, not ring out at Mach 3, which can be tricky because at Mach 3 you have the traction of like butter on ice.
Yeah.
Theoretical no friction world.
Mm-hmm. Like if you could turn better, that'd be a lot easier, but you can't, so you're basically like, wee.
But hey, you get weird early 3D models for Mighty and Ray.
Yeah. Like, those ones don't look as nice compared to the Sonic Tails and Knuckles, but that's more. I don't have any nostalgic memories of Mighty and Ray in 3D because they literally didn't exist.
Yeah, and their character designs are not quite as workshopped as a lot of other Sonic characters are.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ray is kind of similar to a Tails, only his head is rounder.
Yeah.
And bigger, and he's yellow instead of orange.
Like, I think Ray was one of the things in line to potentially be Tails, but they spun it off into its own thing.
Hmm. Well, I think originally Sega Sonic was just going to be the D-pad who were guests on MSP once did a thing on, or we're talking about the history of it, and apparently the originally Sega Sonic was just going to be like a puzzle game that had like Sonic and his brothers Red Sonic and Yellow Sonic. So Mighty and Ray are a step up from that.
As we saw from the new Super Mario Brothers series. And on that note, final thoughts on Sonic Mania Plus.
Honestly, get it, especially if you have Mania.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
definitely
wouldn't
worth
say it's
buying.
some. If you were on the fence about Mania, for whatever reason, this probably wouldn't put you over. But if you're already a fan of the Sonic franchise and already have Mania, it's nothing harmful.
Hmm. And also, I think we really need to encourage Sega to continue making Mania-style games.
Yeah, like I'm
It's
honestly
Mania.
fine if Mania and modern, like the 2D and modern, exist together. Like they both serve their different niches.
I do think it would have been nice if they'd thrown in some of the other Chaotix characters, but I understand why they didn't, because that would have been a lot of work.
Well, remember they could always make another game.
That's true.
I mean, Mania has sold enough to probably warrant another game.
Hmm. And yeah, and there's also the possibility of Amy, and I mean there are even some other characters that aren't terrible that might be worth seeing.
Bean, Polar.
Mods, yeah, mods have you covered there, or
Hmm.
at least starting to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and to
those.
some extent, it might be better to do another game because the more characters you have, you trying to put into the same or similar stage layouts, they all have to be able to do most of the same things. It might be better to do new stages for people who have more significantly. Like I was thinking of Blaze, but Blaze the weirdest thing about Blaze is she doesn't go into a ball.
Yeah.
She spins like a top. So anyway.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, if you already have Mania, it's $5. You should pick it up. If you don't have Mania and are into classic Sonic, you should probably pick it up.
Yeah. If you're not into classic Sonic, then I pity you.
All right then. That'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Coming the week ahead on Sunday, the reviews we've got are for The Moose Man, which is a it's a side scroller. Um, it's almost a walking simulator. Like I say almost because there's just enough traditional game mechanics to qualify it as like a traditional game. It's just, oh boy, those mechanics are very vanilla, yeah, almost an afterthought. Like this is really about the story it's telling, and this is also another indigenous game. That is to say, or it's focusing on legends and folklore of a obscure people. Like like trying to remember the group, but I can't offhand. I have to look that up. But they're like from the central Russian plains, I think. Like it's like I'm really not familiar with any of the source material here. As well. It's interesting stuff, no doubt. More on that on Sunday. Let's see, we've got Mother Gunship, which is a roguelike FPS with an heavy emphasis on its firearms. Like, interesting game. Uh, yeah, I don't like the roguelike elements. I can say that right now because for as much as it emphasizes the guns, its roguelike punishment is to take away your guns. Again, more on that on Sunday. And I'll note I'm the only one who got Mooseman and Mother Gunship, so we have a third game, Toki Time Trial, which is a free game on Steam. So the group here has something to play for Sunday. It's a short game, like four levels, so not a lot of investment there. Coming up next week, we have scheduled on Tuesday, August 7th, Lin Svong of Henchman and Goon. They are making, or I'm trying to think if it's come out already, but they're making one of the more higher profile indie titles for the Switch in Pode, which is a co-op platformer, if I'm remembering correctly.
Interesting.
Yeah, it has come out. Yeah, it's you play as a little rock and a falling star, and you have to work. It's a co-op focused platformer. I mean, admittedly, my knowledge is limited since I don't have a Switch. I think this is a Switch exclusive for the time being. Not sure if that's timed or not. And
Maybe I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Anyway, on Wednesday, August 8th, we will be having Anthony Morello of Katsu Games. So they are a developer of all platforms, but from what I'm seeing on their website and such, they have a specialty in mobile platforms, which admittedly we haven't had a mobile-focused developer on the program in a good long while. So, it'll be good to hear about how things are doing in that space. We'll be talking about two games in particular, Sausage Bomber and Warhammer 40k Doomwheel, or just Doomwheel, actually.
Two games that have nothing in common.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of mobile development for you.
I know.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, until next time.
Wait.
Mac has an item.
Yeah, I didn't mention this during my news segment, but be sure to examine CocoHeartU.frillypink.com on Saturday. The cover, drawn by our good friend Varias, will be debuting for a brand new series that I'm developing with our longtime friend Fallen One. It is Sexy Adventures in Polyamory. And the other item will be that this November I will be heading to Tucson Comic-Con. I finally got the tickets paid for. Jesus Christ. So we'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks.
So the GoFundMe work?
Sorta.
Good enough?
Good enough. Yep. So I'll be needing as much support as we can possibly get, because there's a lot of stuff that will be going on in the coming weeks.
All right. So until next time, I wish you good gaming.